Hello everyone and welcome to the Enstarz YouTube channel. My name is Jess and today I'm talking to...
Aaron Vargas.
So, okay.
I said that the way I say it on like self-tapes. Everybody always asks for like, you're to slit your name and I'm always like, Aaron Vargas?
Why are you so careful when saying your name?
I feel like if I don't like articulate my name well enough, they're just
You're
gonna
fuck it up?
automatically switch next.
Oh no!
He didn't articulate fully when he said that.
Oh
Next.
no!
Yeah.
Well, first you should probably introduce what you do. What are the self-tapes for?
Well, I am an actor. That's why I do self-tapes, which
We kind
makes
of,
sense.
I feel like put the cart before the horse in this situation. It's another idiom.
Is that really? What is it?
Yes, putting the cart before the horse.
Wow. So Jess and I actually met in a film festival.
Yes.
And we've been friends for a little while now.
Yeah. Because
And
I had Drama High screening at it, which is a web series episode that I produced, executive produced, wrote, and acted in, and you had something screening as well.
yes, I was acting in a short film called Love's Baby Soft.
Which was very cool.
Yeah.
It was a period one.
Yeah. So
I almost didn't recognize you in it because you look so different in that.
I had a mustache. I was doing the 70s look. So
Yeah.
I had the mustache.
Yeah, and
And
then
I
when we
was
were playing
definitely-
it, I remember I was talking to my then plus one, and he was like, "Was that Aaron?" I was like, "I'm pretty sure that's Aaron."
A lot of people came and asked me afterwards. They were like, because I was like promoting the film too, and I was telling everybody, "Oh yeah, come watch this."
It's like, where were
It's
you
really
in it?
great. Yeah, and everybody was like, "Wait, were you the one with the mustache?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's me."
That's me.
Yeah.
Yeah, but first of all, how long have you been acting, and how did you get into it?
I always say that professionally acting, I've been acting for 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
That's because I moved to New York City 5 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and that's when I started actually getting paid for the work I did.
Yay!
So that's kind of like what I say, like, what makes you professional is if you get paid for it.
Right.
So before, I was doing a lot of regional theater for most of high school. I started in middle school, although I really just got serious into it in high school. Yeah.
Because you went to like a special high school, right?
I did. I went to I don't want to say the name of the high school because it also does not exist anymore.
Exciting.
Yeah. But I went to a high school that was a lot of people like describe it like actual Victorious.
Okay.
Because
Like the
everybody had their
Nickelodeon
own
show.
yeah, everybody had their own art. And so you had the chorus kids, you had the dancers, you had the actors. And yeah, the actors were the cool kids, in my opinion.
I mean, obviously.
That's probably subjective, but
Obviously.
So I did a lot of theater during high school.
Okay.
Yeah.
What made you like fall in love with theater or like acting and stuff?
Man, whenever I get asked this question, I think back in like my life and what like originally started me in it, and I tend to like over analyze myself and why I started. Originally, the simple answer is I started because my brother had done a musical and I wanted to be a part of it because he was my older brother, and I was like, I want to do that too.
Yeah.
And so I did a musical with him, and I made a lot of good friends in the cast.
Oh.
And seeing like everything work together on stage and
You're like, this is cool.
yeah, making the connections with the people, I was like, oh, I like this. So I had given it a break though after that musical. That was like in middle school. It was in a children's theater. And then when I went back to school and, originally I was homeschooled for a long time. After elementary school, I think in 4th grade, I was homeschooled until high school. And during that time, I had done 2 plays, and I was honestly looking to become a veterinarian.
A veterinarian.
Yeah, that was the plan before acting.
Whoa.
But then my mom was like, oh, there's this high school that opened up, and it's like an arts high school. They do like theater and stuff like that. And I know
Hey.
you did those 2 plays and you liked them, so how about you give it a try? And
Oh,
I
it's
was
nice
like,
that your parents were supportive.
Yeah. I don't think they ever thought that this would be my career choice, though. Yeah. And
But
I
they
remember
still
when I
want you to
told my
go.
mom I was going to go to New York, and she was like,
Oh,
at
no,
first
what's
she
her
was really
reaction?
upset. Okay, so my transition to New York was when I made up my mind. I was going to go to college for communications. I know I said I was going to be a vet. I was going to be a vet.
This is all related.
I went
Communications
to,
vet.
yeah, I went to I did an internship at a veterinary clinic for 2 weeks. And realized that was not the thing
Not
for
it.
me.
Not the path.
No, I like animals, but I don't want to operate on them. And
Yeah,
I
that
think
would
that's-
freak me out a lot, to be
Yeah,
honest.
I was doing surgeries and stuff. Like I was in the room seeing the surgeries, and I was like,
Oh,
yeah, this
no.
is not the interaction I thought I was gonna have.
Oh no! I mean, if you talk to any of my high school classmates, you know how you have to like usually in at least my public high school, in science class you have to do like the one where you take apart the animals.
The dissecting.
Yeah.
I did a lot.
I never did that. I always let my lab partner do it because I was like, I can't. This is a bit much. So I can't imagine going into like the vet field and having to do that professionally.
It's tough, but also I heard how much math there was gonna be in it that
Oh,
I had to
no.
take, and I'm not good at math, so
Me
I was
neither.
like,
So this is probably not
Yeah.
it. Not it.
Yeah, no.
So how did it go from vet to then communications?
The real questions.
Yeah.
I feel
The
like so
hard-hitting
many
questions.
actors go into communications because they don't want to get a degree.
In
as an
acting?
in acting. My thing was I don't want to go to college and get a degree in acting because I will get myself into debt. And then I don't technically need a degree in acting to become a successful actor.
Right.
That was my mind process.
Right.
And I had learned so much in the school that I was in already. So I was like,
Might as well.
I learned from there. I also learned from, conservatories that I acted in. And I just kept myself in that area, learned from, doing it. And that's what my mindset was. I'll just do it, and I'll learn as I go along. And a lot of people had faith in me and supported me through it. And
That's
they were
nice.
like, yeah, my grandfather is one of them who was very supportive. He was supportive in a way because he was like, I'm going to give you 5 years, which I'm coming on.
You're like, oh, no.
5 years now, yeah. He was like, I'm going to give you 5 years, and if you don't make it within those 5 years, I'm sending you back home, which I don't know why he thought he could send me back home.
He's just gonna come up here and get you.
Yeah, that's kind of like what he insinuated. He was going to come snatch me, yeah.
Wait, by the way, where is home?
Home is Miami. I was born and raised in Miami, Florida.
Okay,
Yeah.
so your
Yes.
grandfather was gonna come up from Miami.
Yeah,
and snatch you home.
He was gonna snatch me home.
That gets
If I
5 years.
hadn't gotten to a certain place, I always try to remind myself not to feel too, down if I'm not in the exact place that I want. In one
How
of
do
the
you deal with
first
that?
sets, what, not feeling down and
How do you deal with that?
one of my first sets I did, somebody had told me that if you focus too much on where you want to be at any moment, you're going to miss the journey that you're on right now.
Right.
And I took that to heart. And
Every
I
experience
realized,
is useful.
yeah,
you
but it's
know?
also I realized how much I love to just do it. And I love to be on set, and I love to meet people, and I love to just share passions with other people.
Yeah, because you're a much more outgoing person than me. So
Yeah?
Yeah.
Why do you say that?
I think so, because you're always so friendly and talking to people, and I think I'm a little bit more
That's crazy.
I get uncomfortable if I don't know people around me. You know what I mean?
I feel like you are so good at networking. Every time I see you, I think you know what it is you're very intentional when you talk to other people.
Yeah, I
And
don't
see
small
that.
talk people, and
Yeah.
I think people understand when they talk to me that I'm actually very genuinely concerned about them and their things, or actually am interested in learning about their projects.
Yeah.
Because number one thing that I like to ask people, and I'll also ask you here, is I always ask people what are your passions, or what do you want to be able to do?
I feel very passionately about, I think to myself I could probably work in many ways on set because it's the set environment that really
Have you tried other roles on set?
Yes.
You have?
Yeah, I have.
Okay.
That's very minimal though because I'm usually acting whenever I'm
Yeah,
on
because
set.
I've only ever heard about you acting.
Yeah. My roommate and also my best friend, Kyle Portello. Love you, bro.
Shout out to Kyle, who's cool.
Shout out. Yeah. He started his own production company. And so he was working on a bunch of stuff. And I kind of, just being so close to him,
We're
I've
able
done
to
a couple
do some
things here and there to help that were outside of the
acting.
realm.
Like what?
Yeah. Honestly, I don't even know how to label it. Probably like PA work.
Okay.
To be honest. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. For one of his things, I did lighting.
Oh.
And I learned lighting.
Exciting.
Like the week of. Yeah. we were scrapping. We needed to.
Yeah.
We needed to come up with something, and they were like, "Aaron, do you know how to do lighting?" And I was like,
Nope.
"Absolutely not." And they were like, "Look at this lighting board. Do you want to try it?" And I was like, "Leave it to me." And it actually didn't come out bad. Yeah.
Yay.
So I did that. But I think what it is being on set and honestly connecting to everybody on set. It just feels so good. Like,
I
the
think
environment
it's good.
of a set. Everybody has things that they're doing, but at the same time, everybody's joking around and laughing, and in those moments of stress, you can really build like great relationships.
Well, then what do you foresee in terms of like, if the acting part doesn't work out, then would you be open to doing other things like directing? Because I feel like there are a lot of actors then and go into directing.
So here's the plan.
The plan.
All right?
Okay.
The plan.
The secret
It's
plan.
a loose plan, okay? The plan is a very loose plan.
Uh-huh.
The idea is because acting is my main passion. I love like, and remember how I said human connection is like one of those big things I like on set? Mm-hmm. The other part of it is, I think, doing the acting itself gives me that feeling of like connecting and asking why and like figuring out my character and being somebody else. It's like putting myself in that place of empathy and that place where I'm not judging and I'm uninhibited, right? Because then I can show emotion uninhibited.
Right.
Whatever the scene
not you,
calls
it's
for,
someone-
whatever
Yeah.
the scene calls for, I could do. There's so little times in my real life where I could just or just go crazy. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Just like
in a socially sanctioned way.
exactly. There's so little moments where you can just let out an intense amount of emotion, because we're never in our normal lives, those moments of intense emotion are so like scattered out.
Yeah.
But when you're an actor,
like, kind of looked down upon, 'cause some people
or looked down upon, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
But when you're an actor, you find those moments in every role where you have the intense emotion. If there's not intense emotion in any role that you're doing, at least for me, I don't really know if I want it.
It's like not easy
Yeah,
to
it's
connect
not
to, I
it's not
think.
fulfilling as long as there's
Yeah.
some kind of intense emotion. What I'm trying to get to is that acting is my first passion. So ultimately, if I make it anywhere, I want it to be acting first. But at the same time, I do want to get to a place where I can say, all right, I've done this acting thing to a place that I feel satisfied or fulfilled in. Let me make my own stuff. I want to make my own stuff at some point. I want to produce my own stuff. I also like getting people together and like all those relationships that I built, all those connections, all the friends that I have. Let's get together. Let's have let's have fun and create something. And I want to create new things.
Yes.
I want to create things that, and I know this is
What do you mean
probably
by
what everybody
new
says.
things?
Everybody probably says like things that people haven't seen before.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I feel like lately I've been seeing too many things that
Feel too similar.
I've seen before, and it makes me very like antsy.
What do you mean by new things though? Like new concepts, or like, because I feel like sometimes people talk about new things and it's like very much from like a representation standpoint. You know what I mean?
I know. For me, it's more of like I want to see things that I have never seen before.
Like, do you have an example of a movie that's kind of giving that feeling in recent years? I feel like for me it was kind of like Everything Everywhere All at Once.
I was about to say that. Everything Everywhere All at Once is one of those movies that gave me something new. I watched that movie and I was like, yes,
This is
God.
yeah, that was like, it reminded me of like why I love films.
Exactly,
and
exactly.
filmmaking.
Movies like that remind me of why I like it. And recently, I work at a movie theater as well. That's my day job. I haven't really gotten to the place of
Sustaining entirely. Acting.
yeah. But just seeing certain movies that I get tired of watching the same things. I'm not calling anything out specifically, but
Specifically.
but I'm trying to make
We're
trying to
not
make
calling out
movies.
Hollywood specifically.
I'm trying to tell new stories. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to at some point be able to find the people who have written good scripts that nobody really pays attention to because they're not like marketable in certain ways. Mm-hmm. And I'm trying to get those and market them, kind of fund these things.
That's kind of like development.
Yeah.
TV, film development role.
But also, I keep finding such talented people, and I want to find the talented people and match them with projects and match them with other people to create something
It sounds
crazy.
like ultimately you might end up in development. That's what you really like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm so early in this too. Like I don't know what my future is going to look like.
Yeah.
But I'm enjoying the journey. This work makes me happy. Mm-hmm. I know that because the other work that I've done and all my day jobs and
it doesn't give you the
I worked
same
in
feeling.
like when I first came to New York City. Mm-hmm. There was a time where I was just trying to survive, so I started working at a mental health practice.
Oh yeah, you've mentioned this before.
I have. Mm-hmm. And being around that made me realize how much I hated it. Mm-hmm. I was like, I hate sitting behind a desk. I hate like just I don't know.
That's the way I feel about like very corporate jobs.
Yeah.
You're like, this would not work. Yeah.
But then I get on set, and I'm like, yeah, this is so
home.
good. I could stay there for hours.
Yeah.
And it's not even that I have to be in front of a camera. I can.
It's like there's a specific creative energy there. I think.
Yeah.
I feel like I'd be. This is I don't know if this is something weird or something is mentioned to you before, but I would be actually really interested to see what kind of roles you get in 10 years.
Me too. I have no idea.
The reason why is because I think right now you read, to me, very, very young. So
What I
feel
want to
like you would
do
get
right
a lot
now.
Of, like, teen roles. That makes sense.
What I want to do right now is I watched shows like On My Block, or shows like Outer Banks. Mm-hmm. Where it's kind of like a group of like young kids, and like Outer Banks is like kind of like that detective kind of where they're like having an adventure where they're like searching for something, and they're searching for answers, and it's funny, but it's fun, and it's also gets like serious moments. Uh-huh. I want to do stuff like that, or stuff like A Beautiful Boy, where it's like a father-son relationship, or a younger brother. Older brother relationship. Yeah. Yeah,
because I feel like right now, I think it's a combination of how you look, but also just, like, the way you speak. You come off very young. And so, like, right now I can see you doing a lot of different kinds of, like, teen roles, that makes sense. But I'd be really curious what happens once, like, you know, 10 years later and maybe age up a little bit and then mature a little bit and see what happens.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. Because I'd be really curious what kind of leading man you would be.
I have no idea.
I think you would be a really good leading man in something.
Yeah. You know, as a kid, when I was younger, when I first got into acting and I was like, I want to do this seriously, I never wanted to be the leading man.
Really?
Yeah. I wanted to, like, win awards for the best supporting.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I feel like that's not a very common mindset you hear.
No.
Why was that?
Because I felt like I always remembered the supporting characters.
Because they're probably more interesting.
Yeah,
they're more complicated. When you're a leading man, you have to be, like, the good one, mostly. You know what I mean?
Because it all depends, but I feel like
the hero.
There's just so many good, like, supporting, like, actors.
Who's your favorite?
My favorite supporting actor?
Or a supporting actor or role?
I wasn't ready for this question.
Oh, no!
My favorite supporting actor role.
Like, something made you go, like, that's something I would want to do.
You know, it's kind of weird that I think that idea sprouted from Disney movies for me.
Huh.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Where it's like, you have characters like Sebastian in Little Mermaid, or you have like, or you have characters like, what's the dragon's name in Mulan?
Mushu?
Mushu. Yeah.
You wanted to be Mushu?
No, not that I wanted to be Mushu, but those are the characters that I remember from the movies.
Oh.
I have a hard time remembering movies. That's another thing about me. Yeah, well, I watch movies and I have like,
you just forget?
Yeah, I forget them really easily unless they're like really good or I watch them many, many times. Mm-hmm. But the characters that like stuck in my head were these characters that were like Mushu or like Sebastian.
But are you more comfortable with like leading man stuff now, or do you still want to do supporting?
No, I'm definitely more comfortable leading man stuff now. Yeah. That was just, as a kid, that's what I thought of.
The other thing you mentioned before is like the TikTok boy thing. And I was like, curious what your thoughts were regarding social media and like acting. Because I feel like if you look back at like before, obviously before the time of social media, but even if you look before, way before, to like the golden age of Hollywood, I think there was always a very intentional barrier between like general audience and star, right? Because they kept it very mysterious, and that was intentional. Nowadays with social media, there's like very little mystery unless you're like a Keanu Reeves type or something, and he's already super established. Right. You know? So how do you feel about this shift, and like what do you feel about all this stuff with social media and acting?
I see the worth in it. Like, it's very helpful to market yourself, but I'm just so bad at it.
Me too.
Yeah. And I
think neither of us post very much.
We don't, no. But my problem, too, is I overthink every picture and every caption.
Those captions take fucking forever.
They do. They take so long.
I'm, like, too lazy for this.
Way too lazy. And it's, like, I'm just... And I always try to come up with a witty caption, too, which is, like... just shooting myself in the leg, because I'll just be sitting there like,
you know what's a cop-out?
What?
Find cool, just caption it with a quote.
Yeah, people do that a lot, don't they?
Yeah, it's just such a good cop-out. You're just like, okay,
but
I'm
also,
smart, you know?
Yeah. Post some like, smart. Yeah. Nobody really asks for your website anymore.
Really?
Yeah, like nobody's going to ask you for your website, unless they're like, maybe a producer or something, maybe. Mm-hmm. But for the most part, everybody asks for your social media handles.
Maybe I'm just crazy. When I look at people's things, I definitely look at their websites.
Yeah?
Yeah. I will judge them harshly.
I have such a hard time, though, posting what work I'm doing on my social media because I feel like I'm being inauthentic.
What do you mean?
When I'm like, if I'm posting like, oh, here I am on set, or, you know, look at what I'm working on, I feel like I'm just being... prideful,
are you just like, are you like bragging?
Like, yeah, that's what it's hard for me to do, 'cause I feel like that's what it is like boasting about myself, or like,
I feel like I would feel more comfortable if it was the finished product, not like me on set. That makes sense.
I do post the finished product all the time, and I think it's because I kind of have to. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
look at something I've done. It's like a resume almost.
From my Instagram, nobody would know that I'm an actor except that it says it in my bio.
Yeah, and you have your headshots on there.
And my headshot is my picture.
Yeah.
And I will repost other people's things of me being on set. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Low effort. Low effort.
It is kind of low effort.
Low effort.
Yeah. But it's also like, that's like my barrier because I'm like, if I post it myself, then I'm like being like cocky or like, look at me, I'm an actor. Like, look at what I booked. I also think
you're one of the most humble people I know.
Really?
In terms of film people, yeah.
Thanks.
That's like really you're like one of the most like authentic people, I think. Like I think I don't know if this is too much, but one of the first times we like hung out after the festival, you and I ended up in like a 3-hour long conversation.
Yeah.
And it was like, at first I was like, I barely know this person.
By the end of it,
we're like, I understand so much more about you and your personality.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I don't know if you felt the same way about me, but that's the way I felt about you.
And I did. We were not supposed to. It was not supposed to be just you and me.
No.
We had a friend who was supposed to come with us.
Tyler.
Yeah. If you're out there, Tyler, thanks. Because that's how we kind of got close. Because it was like after... He was gone for, like, it was just me and you
Mister,
at a bar.
I'm getting a tattoo from my boss.
Yeah.
So I can't come on time.
But it was good.
What an excuse.
We connected very well during that time.
Yeah. And it was just, I think it's, like, that's when I realized, like, you're a very genuine person. And as someone who's also very, I don't know, like, straightforward, what you see, what you get kind of person, that's the kind of person I connect with the most. The people I don't get along with are, like, two-faced people. Whereas, like, or, like, people I can't read, you know?
Would you describe me as what you see is what you get?
I think so. I think at least whatever you show me seems pretty genuine.
Sweet.
I don't know. I don't know what I can't vouch for what you're like in front of other people, but yeah.
I hope that I'm the same around everyone.
I admire how much you enjoy learning. But I think that's also really to bring it back to acting. I think that's the other wonderful part about being an actor is you get to try so many things.
Yeah.
Presumably.
That's one of the first things that also got me into acting. Because in my head, I was like, how can I learn everything? Like, how can I do everything or try everything?
Yeah, without having to be too deeply invested.
Exactly. And it was always, that's what it would come back to. I was like, you know, if I'm an actor, then I can try everybody's hobby that I do, like that I portray, and I'll learn all these new skills, and then that's it. I'll be able to try everything. I'll be able to travel.
Yeah. Visit all the places.
That's the other thing too, right? It's like if you get cast in something that lets you travel.
Like, didn't you say there was something that you might have to travel for at some point?
Yeah, I'm going to Philadelphia on Monday.
Yeah.
And then I remember one of my first things I booked was, it was the first scripted series that ESPN ever did. It was ESPN Plus, yeah.
Ah, yeah, I remember it from your reel.
Yeah, it's called Better Days. If you want to watch it, it's on the ESPN Plus streaming.
He looks very different in that one.
I look way different.
Because your hair is super short.
That's the thing too. Is if you look at my reel, every time
you change your hair.
I change completely.
You look completely different. I was like, is this the same person?
Yeah. But I was filming in Nashville for that.
Whoa.
Yeah. So I love that. I love being able to like travel because of like the sets that I'm on and then learn things. I was on a web series where I started to learn street skating because that's what my character did.
Is that your number one favorite hobby that you learned through acting?
Street skating?
Yeah, or is there something else
Yeah,
that
I wish
you
I
thought
did
was...
it more, honestly.
Ooh.
Yeah, I wish I did it more. But it was a lot of fun. I never actually got to do all the big tricks that real skaters can do, so
Darn.
I'm fake.
I understand that you're probably on the beginning parts of your journey, but if you had any advice to someone else who wants to pursue acting, what kind of advice would you leave them?
Okay, so what I would say is if you're going to pursue acting, you're either all in or you're not. So you've got to choose to do it and be ready to leave jobs. Be ready to get fired if you skip days.
Be away from your family.
Be ready to be away from your family. And just get focused. Don't let little things in life distract you and take you in a completely different direction. If you know you want to do acting, if you know that's what you want to get into, I'm kind of preaching to myself too.
Yeah.
Because it's also like, in the beginning and I've only been doing this professionally for 5 years, like I said, but in the beginning was like I had jobs that I was scared to leave for auditions. And I remember there was a moment where I was like,
but you're here for this.
Yeah, why am I in New York City? Why am I doing this?
Yeah.
Why am I working 50 hours at a mental health practice when I'm an actor? So it's like, be ready. I quit that job like right after I thought that. I was like,
oh, wow.
This is it. It's over. I got to figure out a job that's going to let me do
Pursue
what I
you
love
need
to
do.
do. Yeah. And going to give me more time. So yeah, be ready to like drop things. There's always a give and take. There's always a sacrifice. If you know you want to be an actor, also think about what the cost of being an actor will be. What is the cost for me? Am I willing to pay that cost? Of course, I have my limits. There's things that I won't do for acting. Do you know what I mean?
What's an example of that?
Things that I won't do for acting? Man, I feel like sometimes there's expectations of actors to like kind of be formed into what a producer might want you to be, what image you portray that, you know, is friendly to like for everyone to see. And I don't want to be molded into something else by the industry. I don't want to
You
be...
want to stay you.
Yeah, I want to stay as honest to me as possible. And not really, like, cave in to whatever, you know, image people want me to take, where it's like, you know, you look like this, so you should act this way, or you should be this way in the public, so everybody sees you like this, so you're unproblematic, so, you know, you don't cause any issues, you want to, like, tiptoe around everything. I just kind of want to do the projects I want to do, and I want to be able to refuse at some point, like, refuse roles. I have refused roles before, but that's, you know, you don't want to lose yourself in the process. You want to know that this is what you want to do. You want to be persistent. You want to get, like, focused into it, and you want to make sacrifices for this dream. But never let it sacrifice your morals. Never let it sacrifice, you know, who you are in general. I know that's, like, such a broad thing to say, but it's like, don't sacrifice, you know.
I think it's really easy to get feedback from people that I think a lot of people think they're giving you good advice, but it might take you off track. That makes sense. Like, there's so much stimulus or, like, things that might cause you to go one way or the other. So you have to be very careful about all that.
Yeah. But yeah, I hope that's helpful in any way. And I keep thinking to myself, like, I might see this interview later in the future and be like, what was I thinking? Like,
I mean, think of it as like a time capsule, right? It's a time capsule of Aaron Vargas early on in his career. This is what he thinks about acting.
Yeah.
All that, right? Although
ultimately, there's things that I have right now that I hope I never lose.
Like what?
I think my joy for, you know, my, like, curiosity about the industry, or, like, just the joy that I have by staying in a cast and meeting people, and I hope that I never become one of those guys that... Jaded. Yeah.
Tired of everything.
Or, you know, stays in his trailer and doesn't, like...
Engage.
Look around and realize where I'm at. You know what I mean?
I think it's like one of those things where you stay humble enough to be excited by the job every day.
Yeah.
You don't take it for granted, you know what I mean?
And excited to meet people even if they don't have anything to give me.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing.
Well, it's like you never know when or how you'll meet that person again, right?
Right. But it's also like sometimes it's just like creating a relationship with someone or connection with someone doesn't have to be something that
has a beneficial gain.
Exactly.
To you.
It doesn't have to be something that you just benefit from. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because then you miss like learning new things about that person, or like
or in some way that
seeing a new perspective on life.
Yeah, and that's very enriching in its own way.
Yeah.
But you did mention the one thing that I am curious about now, and this is maybe the last question before we wrap things up, is you mentioned refusing roles before. What made you refuse these roles, or like what happened? You don't have to like call it out, you just have to like, what was the rationale behind it, I guess?
There's been certain characters that have gone against... I have a very, like, core belief system. But also, like, what am I going to portray? And what headspace do I have to get into to portray this character?
Oh.
And when that headspace is something that goes, like, very against, like, who I want to be portrayed as or what I strongly believe, yeah, I'll stick away from that. Okay. And it's more of like, I want to like that's such a like vague thing to say, but it's like sometimes like certain characters get too rapey almost.
Oh no!
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, and then I'm like,
No.
Anyways, but yeah, that's as far as I'm going to go with that, because I don't know the roles that I'm going to play later in the future, and I don't know what God's plan is for my life. So
right.
We'll see what happens.
Do you ever feel like you get typecasted a certain way?
As a skater? Yeah.
As a skater.
I get typecasted as a skater. Yeah. Usually, I mean, I do a lot of auditions for, like, Latino drug dealer.
Is it just because of your background?
Maybe it's because I'm Latino. Yeah.
They're like, yeah.
I wonder if I could play him. maybe there's some roles that I see and I'm like, I wonder if I can actually pull this one off.
Be a Latino drug dealer?
Be a Latino drug dealer, yeah. Hopefully someday I'll discover that. I want to play a role like that one day.
If it's like, I think if it's like a more nuanced thing, you know, where maybe it's not a one and done type of situation.
Young kid caught in like, you know, caught in the fires of like the cartel or something like that. Like, I'll do that. Heck yeah.
Like something a little more interesting.
Yeah. I don't know. I'll see what happens. There's a lot of things being filmed. And there's a lot of opportunities out there, and I'm excited. Yeah. It's been 5 years, and I'm still excited. So.
Good sign for your advice.
If you're not excited after 5 years, you should probably find something else.
Like, oops. If you're in. Yeah. But yeah. Also, I guess like one last question. I do this every time in interviews. I'm always just like, one more question. Because you mentioned like acting as a Latino actor. I'm just curious what your thoughts are about like if you're asked to play like a Latino character but different ethnicity, what your feelings are about that, or how strongly do you feel about that? Because as an Asian American person, of course, that's something you worry about all the time. Yeah. That happens a lot.
It happens to me all the time. I've played Mexican
First, what is your
before.
background?
I'm Cuban Chilean. My mom is Cuban and my dad's Chilean.
And then you get asked to play a lot of
Mexican characters. So always get asked to play Mexican characters.
So how do you feel about that, or what do you feel about it?
Something that I still am thinking over, but honestly, I think it's fine. Because we're like a lot of Latinos are so intertwined. I can relate to a lot of things from different cultures, just because they're so similar sometimes. You know what I mean? When it comes to like me, how many characters will I ever get a chance to play that are Chilean or Cuban or Chilean-Cuban mix?
Yeah.
I mean, I've never... There was one character I remember who had a Cuban name, and I was like, yes, like, this is actually the first time I'll actually be able to portray a Cuban, you know?
Oh, nice.
But it's also like everybody casts for everyone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, Pedro Pascal's Chilean. He's our only representation, probably. I have
Good
not.
For you, Pedro Pascal.
Love Pedro Pascal. Probably so biased with it too, though. Every time I see him do something, I'm like, yes, let's go, let's go. But yeah, there's like, I think that everybody plays. If you can speak Spanish and if you can go to the if you respect the culture, you go to the culture, you learn about it. You know, don't do things just by what you assume the culture is like in a different country. But if you go there and actually do the work for it.
Why not? I guess
I'm okay with a Mexican playing a
Chilean
or a
Cuban.
Mexican playing a Cuban or an Argentinian playing a Chilean, or you know, it doesn't really matter to me if you put the work in it, because it's like any character that I ever play,
you have to put work into it.
Yeah, but it's never me. You know what I mean? Yeah. I can't find characters that are specifically just me because it's impossible. So it's like every time there's going to be a family culture, there's going to be, you know, a background that they came from that I have to then do the work into so that I can portray it honestly.
Right.
That's how every acting role should be, at least. If you can tell when an actor does not portray something honestly.
Right.
And it's because usually my thought is that it's laziness or something that, you know, they either took advice from the wrong people or didn't put enough work into to portray, to do justice to whoever you're embodying.
Right.
Yeah.
And on that lovely note, I think that's a really wonderful nugget of truth to end on. So thank you so much for speaking with us. Hope you had a good time.
Yeah. Thanks for doing this with me.
Yeah. I'm Jess, and
I'm Aaron.
Thank you so much for watching. If you like videos like this, I want to see more Today I'm Talking To videos, please subscribe. Thank you so much. Bye. Thanks for
watching.
Enstarz, please be
sure
to like, comment,
and
subscribe. Yay!